Greetings. This is Real World News, which is produced by journalism students on the campus of the Queensland University of Technology. My name is Angus Brien. The football season is well and truly underway here in Brisbane. Joining me to talk about the season and its future is Campbell Johnson, a commentator and analyst for the National Premier League. Welcome, Campbell.
Oh, thanks for having me. I was keen to talk about some NPL.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you are a commentator and analyst. Can you talk to me about the sort of things that you require in your job?
Yeah, so the main part of my job, obviously there's the commentating aspect of it, which is, arriving before the game about an hour or two before the game to have a conversation in person with coaches and players and stuff like that, and also to get a feel for what's going on, or if we're doing it remotely, it's a little bit different. But in terms of during the week, it's building up a knowledge base that I can draw upon during the game to add some colour and some information, and providing listeners and viewers with new information that they're not getting from what's being played on screen.
Yeah, and big news during the week, of course, Alex Parsons signing his first professional contract with the Brisbane Roar. Former NPL product as well. How cool is that for a guy who's come from the NPL to be able to make it on the big stage?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, I love seeing young players come through the NPL system and into ALeague clubs, seeing that pathway build. And for him especially, from Western Pride and then moving over to the Brisbane Roar Youth. So he's been playing a few games in the NPL this season for Brisbane Roar Youth, and he was absolutely killing it. At the time he moved up to the A-League squad and got his debut, he was the top scorer in the NPL. I think he had 8 or so goals. He was absolutely smashing it, and that was within 4 or 5 rounds. So he was absolutely killing it in the NPL, and you really love to see that pathway, and that's what you get with a head coach like Warren Moon for the Brisbane Roar, who comes from the background of GPS schools and then into NPL as well. Coaching wise, and then he moves into the Roar and promotes players through that system. And we've seen a few other players promoted through the NPL as well.
What can we expect from a talent like Alex Parsons in the future?
Yeah, well, he's already showing it really. He's come into the squad and looked fantastic, and you can see Warren Moon as well trusting him and giving him game time, as well as Cyrus Demi, another young Brisbane Roar youth talent, and Churchy old boy as well. So he's getting a lot of game time as well. He got his first start the other weekend, but for Alex especially, his wide play is really fantastic. He can cut in and he's got a great shot. So he's a really exciting player to watch.
Who are some of the other sort of players in the NPL competition to look out for?
Yeah, no, absolutely. One who's been touted for quite a while now is Jez Lofthouse. I always like to watch him. He's my favourite player to watch in the NPL, son of Andrew Lofthouse as well, which is kind of interesting. But Jez Lofthouse, fantastic winger, great shot on him. He's played over 100 games in the NPL for Olympic alone. So he's a fantastic player with lots of experience. He's had a few trials elsewhere. Steve White as well and Daniel Leck from Olympic are fantastic players. And then you've got players like Zach Kierpal and other players around the league who are really, really having a fantastic season. You
mentioned these guys. How can you tell them apart from other players and notice that these guys are going to be the next big thing?
Yeah, I think they've got a special something. Especially when you're looking at attacking players, they've got that X factor. They really bring a team up, and you can watch it in a game. They pass the eye test, that's for sure. You can have a look at statistics as well, but I think mainly at this level, it is the eye test. Obviously, there's been seasons where a player like Andy Pengelly, who's another player who is in the NPL system with Peninsula Power, when he was at Brisbane Strikers a few years ago, he scored something like 43 goals in a season. So when you score that many goals, you'd think you'd have to be called up to an A-League side. He obviously moved over to Singapore for a year, playing there, and then came back during COVID and stuff like that. So he's an interesting one to watch, and he passes the stats and the eye test, and a lot of those players, you're really looking for their on-field product.
And how do you think the National Premier League compares to the A-League at this stage?
Yep. Honestly, I don't think there's that much of a difference, personally, in terms of the skill level of the players. There's obviously, you've got those exceptional players, and there is the drop-off in talent in the NPL specifically. You do see teams who are getting beaten 10-0 every week, or 4-0 each week, and then you see sides that are really fantastic and scoring 10 goals on other sides with fantastic players that I have no doubt could be really serviceable in the A-League, and potentially don't get the chance because they haven't been in an academy system, which is really sad to see. And you just hope the A-League can kind of adopt players from the NPL going forward.
You mentioned the A-League again. We're about to get into the final series for that competition. Brisbane Roar's the local side. What do you think their chances are like for the finals?
Yeah, no, I think they've got a great chance. They're a really sneaky side. They've not been too consistent over the course of the season, but they can get a result. And I think they lack a little bit in the attacking areas in terms of creativity and also in the defensive midfield role. But I think they can cause an upset. I don't think they'll go all the way. but they might cause a little upset and go on a little bit of a run.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thanks, Angus. But everyone get out and watch some NPL football.
I definitely will be this weekend. Now, well, that's all that we have today. Once again, thank you for joining QT Real World News. I'm Angus Brien. See you next time.